To say that it has been a hot second since I recorded Xenoblade or played it would be a bit of an understatement. That does not look right. But we're back, and it's going to be interesting. I now can hear the game when I'm playing, and I can do live commentary. That's what this is right now. But it'll be more or less the same. And I'm doing this now just so I don't have to later. Off screen, I did a bit of grinding against some hard crabbles to get Pentagon chips, which I threw onto Tenku here, which gives a plus 50 agility, and to Rock here, which gives another 50 agility. This won't be useful immediately, but it'll become apparent why I did that not too long of a time. That said, now it's off to mostly post-commentary, standard stuff. It's same as usual. You'll understand. As my brain readjusts to the controls, because it's been like 2 years or something like that, I'll do a quick mention of what the goal is for this episode. We have 3 unique monsters to take on, and then I plan to finish the chapter afterwards. It felt ambitious at the time, but if I can limit my episode count to 3 per chapter, I think that's going to be pretty good for the series in the long term. But I know full well it's not going to stay that way. Anyway, the first unique monster I want to fight is Myrmidon Eugene, and he's probably one of the most gimmicky fights we've run into so far. A standard katana driver for the most part, but his chosen arena of the abandoned Egil Jetty is an absolute pain to deal with. There are narrow walkways with no handrails at some points, which means that AI party members, especially Tora for some reason, are incredibly likely to nosedive into the abyss and just immediately perish. There's a big heck-off bird nearby too that can easily aggro on most of the walkway, and if it joins the fight, you're not gonna survive. On top of that, Eugene here himself has a counter art that inflicts blowdown on us when we try to attack him, which we need to either be positioned well or get lucky to avoid. Thankfully, I generally get pretty lucky in that regard. My positioning is also pretty bad here because just as he can send us tumbling over the edge, so too can we to him. Of course, this comes with its own set of problems. The first time this happens for me, he seems to sort of despawn as soon as he hits the death plane, so while the game does in fact consider him to die and his grave shows up, his death doesn't actually get counted by the game, which we can see if we return to Araya and check in with the battle records guy. It is possible to lure him over by the ground and get the kill against the actual ground, however, unless you're really good at platforming and can get your way down the little cliff in the background there, you won't be able to get down in time to grab the loot he drops, assuming it doesn't just bounce off into the void. At least, on normal, you can do that with relative ease. See, all moves in Xenoblade 2 have a damage cap, maxing out at just below 1 million damage. This is a big problem for me, because on Bringer of Chaos, all unique monsters at this point and going forward are going to have over 1 million health, meaning I need to put a bit of work in before I can reliably get a gravity kill. I could probably beat Eugene normally with a bit of luck and a more proper setup, but there's one more strange method in which to beat Eugene here. See, occasionally his blade will just fall and not return. When this happens, Eugene's AI kinda just stops functioning, and as a result, he will not attack or even really move at all, which means I get to just let my characters auto-attack for about 20 minutes and he eventually falls. It's not the most honorable fight, but neither is choosing your combat location as the one spot where you can easily kill everyone with a single attack. And don't worry, it took a couple hours of pain to get to this point, so I earned the break. Next up on our list of big bads to deal with is the one I was expecting to be the hardest, Decapitator Marvin. He's surrounded by a whole lounge of Ignas in this little area, many of which are hard or outright impossible to fight one-on-one. And these guys can become a problem when they surround you, due to several gaining back attack damage, some being able to send everyone in the fight into instant rage mode, meaning you get comboed by rage strikes, and some even being able to inflict break and sometimes topple on the crew. All in all, fighting these guys on their own is a pain in the neck, let alone trying to fight Marvin at the same time. However, all these Ignas being fought in a row can actually benefit us if we try to let it. Or just stupid enough to do it. As it so happens, Telos has a skill that increases damage based on the number of enemies already killed in the battle, making this the perfect excuse to try and pretend that Telos Nia is viable. The best part is that I don't even have to have Telos out during the kills, meaning I don't have to sacrifice Nia's role as a healer in this situation. Which is good, because all these enemies would absolutely brutalize anyone that is trying to actually take the hits, which is where the plus 100 agility I grinded a bit for off screen comes into play. With this and Foresight, Rex avoids a large majority of the attacks that hit him, or that would hit him. Emphasis on large majority, which last I checked, does not mean all. It's still very possible for Rex to be taken down, which does happen a good few times during these attempts. Something else to note are these stupid scout enemies, which will run away and alert certain groups of enemies of you, and have them join the fight, including one that will alert Marvin himself if you aren't careful. Thankfully, if you give them a good old break before they can get too far away, they'll stop running and try to fight you instead. Usually unsuccessfully, they don't have much health. After we take care of them, we have the upper hand, and after a few dozen minutes of attempts, I get a run where I take down many Ignas, and then start the fight with Marvin without too many foot soldiers around. And honestly, once we have Marvin on his own, he's a pretty big joke. His gimmick is meant to be all the extra helping hands he has nearby, but between Tora's bulk, Retz's massive evasion, and just everything else we have going for our party, he can't really do much. Once I get him low enough, I decide to finally break out Telos Nia in a chain attack, using a Dark Element combo to force her out beforehand and activate a chain attack, which wasn't necessary for max affinity during the chain attack, but at the time I thought that was how it worked. The damage we do in the chain itself is alright, but not nearly enough to end things, which is usually how the chain attacks go in this mode, in this difficulty. As soon as it finishes, I use Telos level 3 special to do a stage 2 blade combo, which at the time, I didn't think would be enough to take down Marvin, so I also spammed the button to activate Poppy's level 3 to finish it off with a meteorite combo. But we don't get to see what ridiculous number popped up to take down Marvin, because Telos gets the kill anyway. Whatever the number was likely at least 50,000 damage if I had to guess. Marvin was surprisingly easy. Let's see if our final target for the episode is as well. Yeah, apparently I beat Judicial Colin first try. For some reason, in my brain, I don't remember that being the case, but I can't find any other footage of him from me, so either I forgot to record the first couple of attempts, or I really did just go in with that broken of a setup. Either way, we're moving on because it's just a standard one-person fight against someone with normal Igna movesets and stuff. Which means it's plot time, and we left off last episode having made friends with Morag, and for the most part, the entire Imperial army, while we try to sniff out who sent Lila to attack the city. There's not much important in regards to the overall plot here, so I'll just summarize by saying that the end goal is to figure out where the shipments have come and gone for parts to make an ether furnace, which would be needed to make artificial blades such as Lila and Poppy. It doesn't take too long, and eventually we get led right back to the old industrial district. First, however, we have a hearty to view. Why did I call it a hearty? I think I meant to say heart to heart, and my brain at the time did not know what to say. In my script, I have hearty. I don't know why I did that.
Mora Dane's so full of wasteland and hard rocks, not easy for walking.
Shall we take a rest around here?
Good idea, yes.
You need to toughen up a bit, Tora.
Tora lived whole life cooped up in house working on building Poppy. Not used to walking long distance. If only Tora could flitter-flutter like Gramps.
Well, you have those big wing things.
Not on wings not for flying. Could flap forever and not reach sky.
If you're really having a hard time walking, you could ask Dromart to give you a ride.
Ah, Rex is genius!
I think not. I have solemnly sworn to carry none other than my lady.
Go on, it can't hurt.
What? Are you sure about this, my lady? If you allow Tora to ride me now, soon he will want Poppy to join him. And there will be no space left for you.
Well, when you put it like that... Sorry, Tora. Guess that's a no.
Much disappoint.
Pyra, are you okay walking?
Oh, yes. I'm fine. Though all the dust clouds do bother me a little.
Oh yeah, those are a pain. Gets in your eyes sometimes.
Poppy also not like that. Small particles get in joints and cause nasty creaking when moving. Must ask Master Pond to clean out when get out of this place.
Rex, it seemed like more ordained tricky place for everyone. Rex have any bright ideas for helping?
Well, let's see. Would anyone like to borrow one of my salvager suits?
I suppose that would help keep the sand out.
I've got a spare you could borrow. You want to try it on? Actually, I guess Nia's the only one who it would really fit.
Go on then, I'll give it a try. If it really is useful, we can buy a whole bunch of them sometime.
My lady, that suits you surprisingly well.
Oh, shut up. So this is what it's like for Rex when he goes salvaging, huh?
Keeps the sand out pretty well, right?
Well, yeah, it does that. But I can't really see. Peripheral vision's awful in this thing. It's hard to move about in, too.
It might not be very practical for combat.
Yeah, I don't think I could fight like this.
Looks like genius idea of Rex, not so genius after all.
Well, it was worth a try.
Back on track, it turns out most of the supplies have yet to be taken to the final location, as using our Napanius wisdoms, we managed to read the chicken scratch writing that says where it eventually needs to be brought to, which is some facility around the chest area of the Titan. With Tora claiming MVP and wanting a 3-year lifetime supply of sausages, we head back to Elbakanovich and report our findings to Morag, who says there's an abandoned factory around that area, but it hasn't been used officially in around 30 years. We say we'll investigate, promising that we'll turn back if things get too dangerous, as dispatching the military quickly would be difficult at best. In exchange for our info, Morag tells us that an esteemed Napan merchant is involved on this, which Rex guesses to be Bana, much to his shock. Morag doesn't know definitively, saying that she'll head to the factory herself once she can mobilize some troops. We travel back to the Chansard Waste area, specifically where we fought Capitator Marvin, as it's the closest travel point to our destination. And after a bit of falling, we ignore all the normal enemies in the waste themselves, before getting interrupted by none other than Zeet von Genbu himself.
Your comic timing is exquisite. And you will address me as
One-eyed monster.
Shut up!
What's there to say about this fight other than that he's not too different from his Araya encounter? He hits moderately hard, he uses Knockback during a dynamic Spark Sword, and he has all the annoying traits of a driver enemy. Given everything we currently have, it's not really a hard fight. Even Sonic Thunder Slash, the level 4 special, isn't really all that big of a problem so long as we use a level 4 special or stage 3 blade combo to iframe through it. Overall, just make sure you aren't neglecting healing and aren't letting too many people get hit by the AoEs, and you'll be able to get through this fight with no real problems. Of course, if you keep fucking around with your build and blades like I do, then you're bound to have a character get incapacitated every so often, even in the fights that aren't so bad. If a fight ever seems like it's heading into a really bad direction, just swap to Mithra if you can, and you'll probably win.
I'm not cut out for this!
After Zeet goes down and then goes away, albeit non-consensually, we cut to Bana and, who could have guessed it, Mui, talking about the production and plans for the artificial blades. Apparently it was a senator from Morardain who funded the project, which is a detail I think myself and many others tend to overlook because of the involvement from Torna. Seems like Bana wants to benefit off of potential war with Araya, the greedy stumpon that he is.
First rule of making money.
Back to the gang, we continue forward and make it to the abandoned factory, though the main entrance is locked, so we have to sneakily sneak our way in through the ventilation system, and onto the overhanging walkways, which have some circuits on them that we can easily ignore if we're patient. There's some doors up here we can't get through, so we have to break into another ventilation system to reach our next destination, where we happen to find one of the things we came here for, Tora's father Tatizo. He's being bullied by a Turkan guard into telling them how to increase production efficiency, and once the guard leaves, Tora jumps down to reunite with his father. It's touchy and all that, as demonstrated by Mithra's emotional vulnerability, but it's a short-lived moment as the Mui Mui and the guards quickly take notice, and we have a fight on our hands. An easy fight, mind you. They're just simple, weak Turkan, no acute Melvins to be found here. We take the mode, and in comes the biggest of the bads, Bana himself. He monologues a bit about his plans to use Professor Susu's ether furnace in Poppy to make stronger artificial blades, as well as sell the Aegis to Torna. He tells Lila to beat us all up, and Tatizo asks us to take down Lila. Like the Zeke fight we did not that long ago, this one is nearly identical to its previous incarnation, except this time I'm controlling Tora because theming. This does ultimately make things a tad bit harder, as Tora is by far the weakest party member at this point, and is really minimizing the party potential to play it only as him. Things I suffer through for content. Deciding that I want to have fun, I double-check my gear and swap to Nia for my second attempt, because having control of healing is always nice, and I'm sure there was some other reason I don't really remember. Maybe I was trying to maximize break output, I don't know. Either way, Lila here does hit pretty dang hard, and if I'm being perfectly honest, I probably could have been a bit more aggressive with my blade swaps for healing, but we've got specials that can help with that. The only downside that I tend to forget is aggro is very easily swapped around in this game when using specials. Especially since Tori here is a bit behind when it comes to, well, being good. Being too aggressive with specials means that Nia is very likely to take aggro, and she takes hits like a decorative ceramic plate you see in Granny's dining room but never actually see used. Bizarre analogies aside, this time when we get to the Rage Strike Thunder Kick, I made sure to have a level 4 special built up so I can iframe through it, as it would likely take everyone out otherwise. Now that Lila's enraged though, a problem occurs. She has a spike effect going, meaning every time we attack, we take a small amount of damage. Damage that can very easily add up if we use Archer specials with too many hits. Thankfully, this is far from the worst spike effect we'll be experiencing during this playthrough, and I'm not built for extreme amount of multi-hits anyway. Not much point at this point, since we can't hit damage caps. During the last bit of this fight, I make a major mistake of using a level 3 blade combo with Nia when she's already struggling to get rid of aggro, and immediately after, she gets flip-kicked to death. Next attempt, I become a bit more swap-happy, making sure to break and heal as often as possible, and she goes down with the usual amount of difficulty. Now, I won't show every cutscene from here on out, just most of them, but this one specifically is worth watching for just about every reason. So enjoy.
Do not let her win, Poppy!
Of course, Master Pawn. Comprehension error. Your integrated ether furnace is not fully activated. As an updated model, my energy throughput is superior. Energy efficiency not the problem here. Poppy's Master Pawn told Poppy not to lose, so Poppy will win. Very simple logic. Comprehension error. And that is why you are failure.
Lila!
Do it, Poppy! One more she goes down!
Wait! Wait 1 moment, please!
Dadapon?
I'm sorry, Tora. Even if she no longer listen to me, even if she become weapon for evil, Lila is all I have. Only reminder of Dadapon Susu. She is my treasure.
Comprehension. Error.
What you think you are doing? No need to bother protecting yourself! Steal that ether furnace even if it destroys you!
Lila is...
You not need to listen to his orders, Lila!
Hurry and take it!
Lila's master pawn is... Lila's master pawn is Professor Susu and Professor Tatazo.
What? She destroyed control device on her own? Never!
I'm very proud of you, sister. Poppy.
Poppy. Lila.
This not how it's supposed to go! What happened to activation of Rosa? She ready when you are. Good! Do it! Yes, sir! Hurry!
Where did they go?
Rex, let's find them.
Tora, Poppy, you take care of the Professor and Lila. We'll take down those scoundrels.
That was probably my favorite cutscene of Chapter 4 for a whole host of reasons. The surprisingly well choreographed fight between Poppy and Lila, the admittedly cliche but still wholesome interaction between Tatazo and Lila, and then the amazingly goofy sequence of Mui Mui and Vanna just booking it away to their next plan of attack. People consider this the worst chapter in the game, and while I can't necessarily disagree with that, I also think the negativity around it is just looking at an 8 out of 10 in a sea of 9s and 10s. Anyway, that's not important now, as we have to run through the rest of the factory with just Rex and Nia. Only having 2 party members is always dangerous, but that won't stop me from playing around with dumb and admittedly stupid setups. I throw Rex into hyper agility mode, using katanas for the break art they give, and on Nia, well, I wanted to give her axe kit more screen time, because I'm an idiot. There are a couple of required fights to progress in the factory, the first here being against this trio of Turkins, including an engineer Turkin holding a key we need. The first attempt goes moderately okay, taking out 2 of them before we go down because the main Turkin likes to hide down these stairs and take shots out of range of most attacks, meaning he repeatedly beats down on Nia without Rex being able to distract. Something to note is that I do have crit healing going for both Rex and Nia to try and minimize how much I need to use Dromark, but on Bringer of Chaos, we'll have to swap to him occasionally just to play it safe. We are not yet at the point where crit healing can outrun enemy damage. Second attempt goes much better since I'm less stingy about using Dromark, and we're able to lift up the ether tanks we need to run across to get to the main section of the factory. Before we can chase after Banna directly, this stupid Turkin seals the bulkhead shut, so we need to get up to him and open it again ourselves. It would take too long to go over every little thing here, so I'll quick montage the stuff I grab around the factory, as there's a ton of optional stuff you can go find, and just a bunch of items you can grab. If you really need help figuring out where stuff is or just looking for stuff in general, I would suggest using Frontier Nav. It's an excellent resource. Otherwise, just explore. It's easy to get lost, but the area itself isn't too hard. Just a bit complex if you don't know it very well.
Show me what you got.
As we're collecting all the junk in the area, we head up to the worked observation tower where we have to fight a Bunnet, a Gattle Turkin, and a beefy Security Turkin. This can be a surprisingly difficult fight, as the enemies like to surround you and deal big crits from behind. However, I don't like this fight, so I go in with a proper strategy of Ret's evasion taking everything while Nia heals off what little damage is done. It's not as hard as it otherwise could be like this, and definitely easier than I remember from my other Bringer Chaos runs, but for someone with less experience, it could definitely be a wall, which was me back on my other Bringer Chaos runs. But on this run, we take care of it first try and move on. I made some preparations with my blades, and go to confront Bana and Mui Mui.
Where's Banner? Where did he go?
What's all this shaking?
Go!
What the hell is that?
Activate! Docking complete! How you like that? This is secret weapon based on blueprints of Lila. Gigantic artificial blade. Rosa!
You enlarged the design? Incredible.
Now you all bow before the power of Banner. Go get them, Rosa!
Oh, this is too ridiculous for words. Come on.
Rosie here is a bit of a weird fight. The first 10 or so seconds, Bana and Mui Mui just kind of bicker around, and on normal I think the time's going to be even longer, meaning a well-equipped player can probably end this first phase before it ever gets a chance to attack. We only need to get rid of a certain amount of health or survive a certain amount of time, I don't really know which, so the first phase is over very quickly. Shouldn't have too much trouble on it unless you're really goofing off or doing something stupid.
Oh,
It's too strong for us.
Allow me. I shall serve as a decoy. And then...
No! Poppy will take care of that.
Tora, Poppy.
Poppy? This energy's incredible.
Thanks to my sister Lila. Master Pawn, profusest apologies for letting them control Lila like that.
Lila show much more respect for Master Pon than Poppy do.
No need for apologies. You come back, and that enough for me.
Sister, Lila did awful things. Poppy used to people doing awful things.
Who Poppy mean by that?
Poppy, Lila has one more request. We have many new sisters. Poppy will save them. It is my duty. Lila happy. Now, Lila has one thing left to do. Poppy? Use Lila as starter and
Of course. Poppy's ether furnace. Using experimental ether furnace from Lila, it can be fully ignited.
But then...
Will Lila be all right doing thing like that?
At least I can do. Use the flames of Lila's life to save them.
Now, Poppy! Show them your real power!
Roger that, Master Pawn. Initiating QT mode. Engage!
Can it be? She managed to fully activate Ether Furnace. What? Madman! No matter how much power she has, she's still no match for mighty creation of Banner. Crush her, Rosa!
Phase 2, I decided to swap to Tora and the newfound Poppy QT, who acts as a sort of evasion tank, or at least kinda. Unfortunately, I can't adjust her deer or Poppy swap right now, but it's not the biggest deal since she does start with a moderately decent core chip. As for this fight itself, it's a bit strange. Rose's attacks are all mostly slow and have massive tells thanks to Banna and Mui Mui shouting them out in the background like they're an anime character, or just bickering between each other as usual. But each hit hits damn hard. The biggest concern for us is Bam Bam Rocket, which inflicts a forced topple and sets Rosa up for a follow-up attack that inflicts launch if it connects properly. We can at least avoid the topple with a well-timed evasion art, which makes it far less likely for us to be comboed into submission. Blam Bam Missile is like a discount missile circus from Lila, so I wouldn't worry too much about it. Spinny Spinny Beam is probably Rosa's most annoying art, as it inflicts blowdown and is likely to at least try and hit all three of your characters, so I would try evading it whenever you can. Something I recommend for this fight is setting up a Seal Self-Destruct with a Stage 3 Fire combo, as once Rosa gets to a desperately low amount of health, Banamui will try to take you out all at once with Ultra Bang Bang, which sets a nuke onto the field that inflicts itself with Self-Destruct, causing massive damage to everyone in a decently large radius. However, since you sealed that ability, it'll Thanos itself, never to be seen again. Unfortunately for me, I was stupid. I overwrote the seal at the very last second using a Stage 3 Blade Light combo with Mithra. It kills Rex, which does make things a little bit slower in the end, but it's such an easy fight otherwise that we just win anyway. Banna ejects from the cockpit and runs off towards a nearby harbor, but before we fully give chase, I set up QT as much as I can, which I can do a lot of because I have a lot of spare ether crystals. Before activating the cutscene to continue to the final fights of this chapter, I explore Bulge Harbor here a bit because I can, grabbing a control room key that I think I used to get a couple more rare core crystals, which will be important in a very short bit. I run back to Banna, who really doesn't want to stop artificial blade production because profit, but with a bit of blackmail and threatening to hand him over to the Imperial Army, he gives in and says he'll stop. Great! Awesome! All's well
That Nabon is still of use to us. Do you really have to interfere?
Petruka, Mikhail.
Oh. If it isn't Nia, Akos did mention you had turned traitor.
know these people?
They're drivers from Tona. Of all the lowlives Banner could have made a deal with.
Lowlifes? Coming from the traitorous rookie? You should watch your words.
Don't mind her, Petrolka. Not when we're standing before the Aegis herself. Ah. Truly the heavens must have blessed us that
Mick? Please, shut up.
Okay.
The traitor, we kill. The Aegis, we retrieve. Got it? It's a pain, but that's the mission.
Roger.
Mithra and Nia, they are my friends and comrades. I'm not letting you touch them.
Well, that certainly didn't last long. This fight is a fight. On my first playthrough ever of Xenoblade 2, this was the fight that made me have to buy a Pro Controller because of how much Joy-Con drift I was having in the game. Migdile here fights very defensively, and the other one, Petrolka, does damage like it's nothing. Both are drivers, and both are annoying, and this first phase thankfully doesn't require us to take them down completely, otherwise it would be horrendous. Just do a certain amount of combined damage to them, and we cut the fight short for a cutscene. These aren't a duo we can take on directly, so Mithra devises a plan to do a one-shot kill with her strongest attack, but it needs to be done at a specific point in the harbor. We try to push them back, but just barely can't manage it ourselves, so in comes none other than Morag herself to give us backup. We tell her the plan, which she somewhat questions, and the fight begins anew, with our fourth driver finally available. We swap to Morag, despite me knowing full well that this is not going to end well. And oh, look at that, she has no pouch items in this fight, so arts aren't recharging well. She has exactly one accessory equipped, being a 15-point increase to agility, and neither her nor Bridget have anything unlocked in their skill trees, and everything is at level 1. All things considered, I made it way further than I had any right to during this attempt. Actually trying to use Morag for this first attempt here almost guarantees a loss, especially on Bringer of Chaos. It's probably possible if you play it right, but it won't be fun the whole way through. But hey, now that we've lost, we can indeed outfit her to our likings, as well as pull blades on her. So let's see what we get.
I am Wolfric! Driver, use my power! Crush your foe!
Starting off, I pull the beastly core crystal on her. This is what I had been saving it for, as she and Rex are the only particularly great users of him, and the only reason I would give him to anyone else is if you want Nia specifically to have a decent time using his spear. Yeah, for some reason. On my first normal pull, however, this happens.
I am Dagus. Lower your gaze, underling. You have the honor of being my driver. This is a very big moment for you. Don't blow it.
He's alright. I personally don't like him much, but in terms of a single individual skill, he possesses by far the best one, and many would say outclasses Agate for support as soon as you get him. He has a slight caveat of being pretty bad on his own and needing his quest to be finished to become fully worth using, but he's still not bad if you really want to use him. We have a few mech Common Blade pulls, and then after a bit, another one.
One freshly hatched Finch at your service. Are you Finch's new driver? Finch's name is... what was it again? Sorry, I can be a little forgetful at times. But I work really, really hard. Wait, what am I supposed to be working on?
Finch is weird. Not the worst shield hammer, the title of which probably goes to Electra, but in terms of viability, she has niche uses at best, while Electra's uses are more general, but just bad. That said, yes, I will use her at some point to great effect, especially since Morai here is by far the best user of shield hammers. Except for probably the Malos fight I used Godfrey for. I unironically think Rhett's hammer kit is better for that fight in theory. Few more hoot tier pulls.
My name is Percival. None can stand against me.
Percival is a fun, moderately decent katana who does a select group of things well, but can struggle elsewhere. He exists to take down groups of humanoid enemies, making him a weirdly good pairing to Telos in that regard. There isn't too much special to say about him right now, but he's useful to have around. I throw a few more core crystals on Morad, but nothing of real note shows up, so I equip Percy and Wolfert, equip them as I see fit, knowing full well I'll probably stick entirely to Bridget for this fight, and then head back in. To get into the fight against Mick and Petrotra itself, let's start by talking about Mikhail, who likes to keep us focused on him for obvious reasons through the use of his taunt skill, Lean In Roar, which he only uses if nobody is targeting him. Can be good to take advantage of it if you know how, but I didn't know at the time, and I'm not going through another Malos fight. Petrotra's damage can be a problem when left to her own devices, but I can evade enough attacks with Morai that I'm not immediately concerned about it. Lean In Upper is a standard uppercut that does increased damage to you if you're launched, assuming that ever happens during your fight. Lean In Shaker is a 5-hit AoE that inflicts break and knockback, somewhat annoying, but it's not too dangerous. And Lean In Shield gives him a perfect block rate while active. Very defensive with some minor offensive attacks, but that changes when we get into his blade specials. Deadball is strong, but single hit and single target, so easy enough to dodge, and inflicts knockback if it hits. Berserk March is a multi-hit and has AoE, so it's much more dangerous if it hits, plus it combos knockback into a final hit of blowdown. Overall very annoying to deal with and can be a big problem. Worth keeping an eye out for and to try to minimize the damage it does. Earth Breath, it's weird. It seems like it was intended to heal Mikhail over a period of time as long as he's standing in it, and deal damage to us if we're getting a little too close. But for some reason, it actually seems to heal us. I assume this was a simple programming mistake that they never bothered to fix or never noticed, but hey, I'll take some free time being healed. Mick and Cressus have one final move up their sleeve, being the level 4 special Stellar Explosion. In my opinion, it's by far the most dangerous attack in the fight if you're not being very careful, as it's very strong and has a very large AoE to it. It's only one hit, which means it's easily avoided with an evasion art, but it can still cause issues if RNG is against you or your other party members both get caught in it. Thankfully, those issues as well can be easily overcome if you use a level 4 special of your own, and Bridget here happens to have one of my favorites in the entire game. If I'm being perfectly honest, in general, this fight is far less difficult than I remember it being, but it's because Mikhail and Petroka don't actually have all that much health compared to a lot of the other stuff we fought. On normal difficulty, Mikhail only has 244,000 health, which is almost a third of what an enemy like Myrmidon Eugene has. It is absolutely bonkers. On to Petroka now. She's the one with less health and defense, but with a bit more damage. I won't bother going over all her hearts, as I don't think too many are worth noting, but a big one is Dancing Lotus, which causes damage over time on the whole crew in a set field that's very hard to miss. Can add up over time if you aren't constantly healing like I am, or just not going out of your way to not be in the circle. 100 Flame is their level 4 special, but we never really see it in full action. It's supposed to be a full driver combo, which as we remember with Malice's Deadly Drive back in Chapter 3, would be horribly dangerous to be hit by. Her health is going down extremely rapidly, and I fully expected this to be an easy win. But right before I start my chain attack, Petroka gives off a Fire Flower Peony that does an absolutely ludicrous amount of damage to Rex and Nia, taking them both down immediately. What the fuck? I assume what happened is that this attack got mega buffed due to Perdido not that long ago having used Diamond Flight, which gives Petroka a buff called Super Strength, which increases her damage by a whopping 150% and reduces the damage she takes by half. Absolutely busted buff that we obviously would never be allowed to use ourselves. Thankfully, Morag on her own is agilityed up enough and has enough damage on her own to finish the fight. But man, that was an unexpected end that definitely made me panic in the moment.
Well, I guess they don't call her the strongest driver in the Empire for nothing.
Let's surround them with a wall of flame.
Bridget and Pyra together?
We will attack from the left. Can you take care of the right?
All right then. We'll try to match your timing. Then I'll switch to Mithra right away. Keep an eye on your sword's energy charge.
Yeah, got ya.
Here goes.
Jokers. Trying to surround us?
Ah!
Not a chance!
Zumak! Wired roar!
From the side!
Try to focus, Mick! What? Poppy! Jet fighter!
Roger that!
Don't get cocky! Yeah! Now!
Right!
As your striker, form the second! Radiance!
Rolling smash!
We're surrounded? Then we go up. Huh?
She's beautiful.
No way. They're still standing after that.
No. She calculated the precise power output required. That's the Aegis for you. Remarkable.
I get it. You're aiming for their blade's cause.
Bad guys all beat up too! Why you pieces of trash! How dare you destroy my beloved weapon! I'll tear you all to pieces! I'll slaughter you all! I'll shred you where you stand!
Stop! You can't use that here, Petroka!
Such immense power. Just who is this girl?
Hold on a moment. Something isn't right.
My body? It won't.
You all right, Petroka? Ugh, this power. Could it be?
Who's that?
So that's what's going on. That piece of Indoline scum.
Did you say Indol?
We're outmatched. Let's get out of here.
Like hell I will. I'm not done killing them yet.
We already got what we came for. And if anything were to happen to you, how could I possibly face Akos?
Let me go! This is why I can't stand you, you know?
You can give me a proper scolding later.
You're not getting away!
That shit!
The Monoceros! It was right there!
Oh. Morak!
Lady Morag! Do not worry. It'll take more than that to dispatch me. They got away. Fan the Norn. Goddess of the Praetorium. To what do we owe this pleasure?
Did you say Fan?
It won't be long now. Nora. With that unusual end to Chapter 4, we end this episode here. Thanks for sticking around to this point if you did, it really means a lot to me. Once I get this video out, I'm hopeful it'll be enough to make me comfortable with making these types of videos on a PC, that I can start to dish these out every week or two, as it'll be my general content style going forward for the most part. After this particular run of Xenoblade 2, I'll probably start to do full games in one video, but we'll have to see. I have another idea with a Fire Emblem game, but we'll see. I have dozens of challenge run ideas for the Xenoblade games, and even other games too, and I have no idea how easily those will be made into single video formats. But that's enough about that. See you guys next time for the chapter that made me first truly fall in love with this game, and made me really appreciate Rex as a character. I'll see you guys then.